General Willis Van Devanter was an assistant attorney general of Bureau of Indian Affairs. Put on a piece of paper an opinion, just like you or me putting an opinion down, of what he thought of the Indiana Miami people. In 1854, from that time period to 1897, there were 3 treaties that actually spelled out the 2 separate tribal entities, the Indiana Miami and the Oklahoma Miami. And that being, they did that because they removed those Oklahoma people who had some of the same family ties as we do, and put them in a reservation out west. Shipped them on river boats out during the removal to Kansas, and then relocated them again to Oklahoma and put them on reserve. But in 1854 up to 97, there were those 3 treaties that actually spelled out our names and created our identity. Well, when Willis Van Devanter came back and he seen that, hey, we didn't live in teepees and we didn't live in these little villages, and we had log homes at this time frame in history, but we still got together for our tribal cultural get-togethers, and we still had our tribal organization, our tribal government, but we didn't act like Indians, as the Hollywood definition calls it. So we aren't Indians, we're American citizens. And the Bureau acted on his opinion. We lost our recognition at that point. And I won't say our recognition, but I'm going to say the acknowledgement, because recognition is still there. Because the only way to take a tribe's recognition away is by an act of Congress, and that did not happen. It was an opinion. Since then, the tribe has taken, in the last 100 years, they've been to every court in the land. They've been to the Supreme Court. They haven't denied that we're not a tribe. They actually said, and again, it's a Bureau of opinion, that there were some specified periods in time during World War I and II that there was insufficient evidence of us having tribal organization. Well, that's when our men were fighting over in the World War for the American cause. So that's, to me, that's not an acceptable answer. So.
All right. So what can we do? What can we do? I mean, okay, right now the politicians, it's election year coming up, or the next few months. Are they being responsive to you?
Well, no, absolutely not. I want to make this statement real quick, because it was 3 years ago during Thanksgiving, which is not necessarily a holiday that we celebrate in the same means and I say you, but I mean Americans do. Okay, our own Thanksgivings are not the way that the public puts it out to be these days.
Neither was original Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but Senator Lugar went through an Indianapolis Star interview done by Andre and Neil down there, and there were several questions put to him. And one of those questions that sticks in my mind, and I'll never forget it, and it was to him, will you go visit with the Miamis and find out now what it is they want, and will you at least give them some of your time? And he said, absolutely. When I seen that printed, I contacted Bob Healy, one of his men, aides, yeah. And and that was in November, and then about the 2nd or 3rd week of December, I got a letter back from Bob Healy saying that the senator's busy and we're sorry. And that's the kind of response that we get from our legislators on a federal level. Senator Bayh, their office won't even talk to us. We've contacted them. I gave up about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. I'm just not going to go after something that they don't have no interest in. Congressman Souder actually put a bill in Congress for us and gave up our casino rights that we heard that Senator Lugar was using against us to be able to have federal recognition reinstated. All of my council signed off casino rights. That bill went to Congress. It sat there because it had no sponsorship. The only ones from Indiana sponsored was Congressman Souder and Representative Julia Carson down in Indianapolis. Why? I don't know.
Right now, a lot of people think that, well, I'll say it differently. We want to make sure that that Fort Wayne's multicultural initiative is going to be a success. And when you're making something into a success, we have to show results. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we get to happen is we get the responses from the political leaders. Right. And as we're winding down here, and get that video clip ready to go here just a moment, please. But let me ask you, what can we do? What can the broader Fort Wayne area do? Because I think that we're kind of sitting back, wanting to do something, but we just don't know what to do.
Well, I'll tell you, coming up in the future, what would be the best thing, and I don't know exactly what direction we're going to take, and we're going to kind of wait for the next couple of months from some of our advisors, is 2 years ago I went to Geneva to the World's Indigenous Populations Convention and learned there the other problems that the world is having of indigenous peoples. And when we got there, we read our statement and we learned how to take this to world court. We're going to be doing that. And I hope that in that time frame that we can somehow get some kind of a movement started for the American people in our own communities to actually back us. How that is to be accomplished yet, I don't know. But somehow there has to be something there to back us, because we'll be filing this in Costa Rica, in the Inter-American Commission first. And we're going to ask for world support. Now, how we go about doing this is, again, write your congressman and find out. We have a lot of state representatives and state senators that are backing us. They're there for us. But, you know, you've got a few that don't, and that kills everything. And
well, we're going to make sure that we contact the state representatives, and I do want to meet with you later on to find out, you know, what we can do, because we're galvanizing around other causes, and especially if we had a petition or something that we can get out here right now.
Right. Well, we're starting. I'm the chairman for the Native American Commission in Indianapolis. Governor Daniels named me that this last March, and we are now working towards a state recognition for Native Americans in the state. I think that's our first step, local.
Okay.
And that's where the people here in the state, citizens of Indiana, can help us out, because there's going to need support for that to get to General Assembly.
Well, we'll find out more about that. That's what we want to do. But again, you know, you have to come back on the show, and I have every intention, if it's okay, to go to Peru myself.
I hope you do, and I'll take you around to some really neat things.
Okay, well,
show you some sights.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
You know, we have a lot to talk about, because, you know, if Chief Little Turtle could have been a little bit stronger, you know, we might be speaking French today, or we might be speaking, what language do you speak anyway?
Miami. Yamia.
Yes.
Algonquin.
We might be speaking that, because this was such an important part of land here that had to be controlled.
Right.
But again, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I'd like to, but one more thing, what you just said. I also think that if, and the tribe people think that if Little Turtle also had acted a little differently, we may not be here. We may be all gone, because out of all of the woodland tribes, we don't hear much from some of the Chippewa or Piankashaws. There's not many around, and some of these bands, because they had some very fierce leaders. I mean, you know, I can't say that I feel bad about that.
Two more things I gotta say here.
Yeah.
One, I've got a cousin whose mom was a full-blood Potawatomi, and Chief Little Turtle's granddaughter, Marietta Hackley.